Hi everyone, welcome to the Yej Budget. My name is Yeji and today I'll be sharing how I budget using the zero-based budget method and cash stuffing system. I was also going to share how I incorporate credit cards in my cash stuffing, but I'm afraid that will make this video very long, so I'll plan to post another video to talk about credit cards. I think this video is still going to be pretty long because I want to share as much as I can to make sure that this video helps your budget planning. But I'll make sure to add timestamps for each topic so you can jump to whichever topics you're interested in hearing more about. What I'm about to share is a system that works well for me, so it may not work for some of you, and that's totally fine. Take whatever works for you and adjust it however you see fits better for you. If you're unsure what works best for you yet, you can give it a try the way that I do it. And once you try it for a few months, I am sure you'll find a way that works better for you. So without further ado, let's get started. I learned zero-based budget from Dave Ramsey and many other YouTubers, and I'm sure many of you know about this budgeting method. I'll share briefly about the zero-based budget based on the article from Dave Ramsey's website, and I'll also post a full link down below in case you want to read the full article. So in short, zero-based budget means when your income minus your expenses equals zero. It does not mean that you're spending every dollar you make, but instead you're giving every dollar a purpose or goal or a job, either that being your rent or mortgage, groceries, or savings. And here is how you can create zero-based budget. So first, on a piece of paper or a budgeting planning sheet like this, write down all your income. It does not matter whether you get paid monthly, every week, or every other week. Next, you will list all your expenses, but in categories. First category is fixed bills. This category should include all fixed bills you pay every month that are always the same amount, such as rent or mortgage, utility bills, phone bills, daycare, subscription. It's easier if you print out your monthly bank or credit card statements of the past 2 or 3 months and highlight all the bills that go out every month. For this category, you will be writing down the name of the bills, which day you pay, which account you pay this from if you use multiple accounts like me, either checking or credit card, and how much you pay. Utility bills may fluctuate every month and it may not be the same amount. In this case, there are two things you can do. One is to check if your utility companies offer fixed payments. Some companies offer a way to lock in a rate for your utility services for a set period of time, like 24 months or 48 months. But you need to be careful with this method as some companies might have early exit fees or any other cancellation fees. The other way is to budget the highest amount you expect you would spend. For example, let's say your electric bill comes out to $100 during summer, and then it drops down to $50 during your fall and winter. In this case, I will budget $100 for the electric bill every month, no matter what. So I know I always have enough money budgeted to cover the electric bills. If the bill comes out to lower than $100 in some months, that's great. I will put those money into my miscellaneous utility envelope. And for the envelope system, I'll explain it later, but basically it means you're putting this money aside into an envelope or just aside outside of your budget, so you have a separate pool of money. So for this miscellaneous utility envelope, I use this money to pay any unexpected utility bills or service fees or transaction fees that we sometimes encounter. Once you have a better understanding and better estimate of your utility bills, you can change the amount accordingly each month. For example, if you know your electric bill range is $50 to $100 a month, and you're starting this method during the high bill months, you can start with $100 a month. If you're starting it during the low bill months, you can start with maybe $60 or $75. So you can pay the bill and put whatever is left into the miscellaneous utility envelope so that you can be ready for the high bill months. For me, I noticed the highest bill is about $120 between July and September, whereas it drops to $30 or $40 between November and March. And since I have a better idea about how much the bill is going to be like and feel more comfortable with making this judgment, I adjust my budget a couple of times throughout the year so that I don't budget a lot more than what I actually need. The key point here is that you always want to budget enough or a little more than what you think your bill is going to be. Our goal is to eliminate any unexpected expenses or over budget as much as we can. So once you finish the list of fixed bills, write down the total at the bottom and subtract it from your total income. Now we'll bring this remaining balance to our next category. So the second category is variable expenses. Variable expenses include all your living expenses that are not fixed bills, but money you have to live. This can include your grocery bills and household, which is the money to buy toilet paper, cleaning products, toiletries, whatever you need for your household, and eating out money, and gas money. So these are the expenses that do not necessarily go out automatically from your bank account, but you must have to live. And the amount may fluctuate every month depending on your spending, meaning this is a type of expenses that you can save if you're looking to save more money. For variable expenses, I will also review your bank statements for the past 2 to 3 months to see roughly how much you spend for each subcategory. I personally recommend not to reduce your budget dramatically in these categories in your very first month of trying this budgeting method. The reason is I did that and it did not go well. I wanted to save money, so I just eliminated the eating out money completely. Theoretically, yes, if you can save the money, that's great. But realistically, it was not possible for me to cook and meal prep every day for the entire month, especially with my morning and evening commitments as full-time employee and full-time student. So if you're not sure how much you should budget yet, I'll try to get a rough number based on your spending for the past 2 to 3 months and put a realistic budget. You can always adjust your budget next month and find a way to save money in this category. It's worse if you're over budget and cannot find any money to cover the overage. Again, our goal here is to find what works best for you, not exhausting you in your first month of trying this method or trying to make a perfect budget in your first month. Once you finish the list of variable expenses, write down the total at the bottom and subtract it from the remaining balance, which is the number we brought over from the first category. Now, we will bring this new remaining balance to our next category. The last category is sinking funds. Sinking funds are savings or a pool of money set aside for a specific purpose or expenses. So it can be anything. Dave Ramsey recommends 7 baby steps, which I think are perfect for your sinking funds. I'll also link it down below in the description if you would like to read the full article on his website. In short, the first step he recommends is to save $1,000 as your starter emergency fund. The second step is to pay all your debt using Snowball method. Snowball method is one way to work on paying back your debt. You will start by listing all your debts except for your house mortgage in order by balance from smallest to largest, regardless of your interest rate. You pay minimum payments on everything and put everything else into the debt with the smallest balance. Once you complete it, you put everything toward the next smallest debt. The third step is to build 3 to 6 months of your living expenses as your full emergency fund before moving into the next steps where you begin your investment. Besides these baby steps, you can also have short-term and long-term sinking funds if you need or want them. Short-term can be something like my pet envelopes where I save money every month to pay for my dog's food, for example, that I order every 3 months. Instead of putting everything in one month, which will impact the rest of my monthly budget, I can create a short-term sinking fund and pay every week or every month to build it up until I need to make that order. Or it can be your car registration that you pay every year. I calculate how much I need to pay for my and my husband's car registration, divide that into 12, and put that amount every month into my short-term sinking fund. Long-term sinking funds can be for travel, wedding, moving, or anything that will take a longer time to build up. In regards to these sinking funds, one recommendation that I have is to always create your goal amount for each sinking fund and the deadline if you're able to determine that. This way, you know how much you actually need for a specific fund instead of just saving without not knowing how long you have come and how much more you have to go. And if you know the deadline, you know how much you need to save every week or every month. This is another reason that I made these trackers/savings challenges, so I can visually see my progress to keep myself motivated and keep track of where I am. So whatever is in the final remaining balance, you will put them into these sinking funds. And at the end of this budgeting, there will be $0 in the remaining balance, which means your income minus your expenses equals 0, which is why it's called zero-based budget. Again, I don't think it's possible to make a perfect budget at your first try. In fact, I think for the past 1 year or over a year that I have been using zero-based budget method, I always adjusted my budget and changed the method a little by little to find what makes most sense for me. And I hope you can give this a try and build it into your own budgeting method. Now that we know how to use zero-based budget, next thing I want to share is cash stuffing or envelope budgeting. Before I learned these budgeting methods, when I got paid, I thought I could spend it however I want as long as there's money in my bank account. I needed to put some money aside for my car registration or bills or an upcoming trip, but I didn't. And even if I did put it aside within my bank account, it was hard to keep track of how much money I actually have for that month and how much money I saved for future expenses. And cash stuffing is a perfect method to avoid this confusion. Cash stuffing is basically withdrawing everything from your checking account and putting the cash into envelopes for those different categories we talked about that I showed you earlier. So this way, you know exactly how much you saved for your next car registration and how much you have left for your grocery for this month. As you see here, I have envelopes for most of my spending categories, and I divided them up into a few binders. I went over all my binders and envelopes in another video, so I will link it here if you'd like to check that out. So once you know what categories you're going to budget for, I would write down all your categories, how much you want to budget for either each month or each week, whichever you prefer. And then you will write down the denomination, depending on how much you will need for that category. And then you will calculate the sum of each denomination and then bring that to the bank and then ask the teller to give you the exact amount of cash that you need in the exact ways of denomination. So that was the end of today's video. I hope what I shared today made sense, and I really hope there was at least one thing you took away from my video that can help your budgeting in future. There are many other YouTubers who explain the zero-based budget and cash stuffing system in many different ways. So I hope you check those out as well so that you can find a method that works best for you. In my next How to Cash Stuff video, I'll share about how I incorporate using credit cards in my cash stuffing system so I can also maximize the benefits from using credit cards while staying on top of my budget. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.